Do you ever tell yourself something you really want to be true? Like, I am sticking with the workout this time. I am finishing this game before I start another one. I am going to put out a video every single week. Well, the people making our games have got—
I've been trying to do daily content for years, and I just don't do it. It ends up being like every few days. I'm really trying this time, I promise.
gotten really good at it too. Like Insomniac saying internet memes and criticism surrounding Wolverine have been a relentless onslaught. Bethesda protesters saying Bethesda makes great games people love, or laid off Halo
When?
devs stating Halo campaign evolved had a successful launch. If
Yeah,
the last decade has taught us anything, it is that there is an increasingly bizarre disconnect between so many of these AAA studios and the people buying their games, between executives and their own studios, between journalists and players, between what the industry says is true and what is very obviously actual reality. Because while we are getting LinkedIn post after LinkedIn post about layoffs from people who just shipped a
Yeah, whenever they're worried about shit like layoffs and shit, you know that it's all corporate culture. When it's just about jobs and corporatism. Because passionate game studios don't deal with these problems. And when they do have layoffs, it's not a big deal like this with protests and shit.
Proclaimed successful game, I'm also watching players post celebrations about those same layoffs, some of them with millions of views. Gamers have spent years feeling like they were yelling at a wall, watching their hobby get more expensive in every way, watching their favorite franchises get worse, watching quality continue to drop, while everyone inside these companies kept insisting things were going great. And at the same time, Western AAA has spent years—
Things were going great because I'm still working and I'm still getting paid. That's really what they mean.
Getting insulated from reality, from its customers, from any real criticism, and eventually from its— And while 2026 may be the year of the horse for China, it is the year of the chud for gamers, and more importantly, it is the year the market has finally stopped letting everybody play. But before we get into
Well, not quite.
all of that, it is a real—
Politics is still all about it. And really, they're the ones that are shaking hands with the corporations that control the markets.
really great to be back. I hope you've been having a great summer. I know I disappeared again. I'm so sorry. There were some side quests I had to go take care of, and as penance,
I've mostly been taking care of chickens and ducks, and it's been great.
please accept. But a lot has happened over the past month, so let's do a super quick catch-up. GTA 6 is coming to Netflix. The extended preview of the game, that
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like 6 hours of footage. I don't care about this.
is, I'll be honest, I didn't even realize we could reach this level of advertising, and it means that there are people out there right now paying for a subscription specifically to watch a GTA 6 ad.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, well, but we—
Especially when you can just get it for free online. A lot of people are paying out of principle, and I'm like, bro, you hate these corporations, yet you're still giving them money.
also got more info on
When you don't have to.
Kingdom Hearts 4, including its launch window of late 2027. I'm pretty excited for this, I won't lie. I had a lot of the Kingdom Hearts games on my old PlayStation consoles, but I have since sold them all. So I did the only reasonable thing, and I just bought the main trilogy on Steam, which is only like $30 for all three right now. I'm actually pretty excited to play all of them again.
Yeah, getting the previously exclusive PlayStation games on Steam.
Including
That's where your fan base is now. Good luck, because you alienated them.
Kingdom Hearts 3. You know what they say? God gives his toughest battles. Swords and Slippers and Knight's Path are back on my timeline, with one of the female characters being
I saw that Swords and Slivers.
described as porny. And if you guessed it was the fully clothed medieval maiden with a little bit of cleavage standing there with her cat, you would be correct. Now, I don't think either of these characters could be described as porny, whatever that means, but these devs do know exactly who they are building for, and they are not interested in being bullied into building for anything else. The war on pretty female characters rages on, so thank you to the devs fighting the good fight. Speaking of which, we got more Tides of Annihilation. The combat in this game continues to look really fun. Gwendolyn is looking a little bit different this time around, but still absolutely stunning. And now there is some speculation that Angela Sandobuano may be stepping in for Jennifer English as her new voice actress, which, if that ends up being true, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
Yep,
Unfortunately,
I'm cool with that.
not
I love me some Resident Evil. I really don't mind. They can pretty much do anything. I'm going to buy it at this point.
every upcoming game has been having quite the same effect, which brings us to— So for weeks now, we've been getting more and more Wolverine content.
It's so uncanny valley. I can't unsee it. He looks so weird.
as the game gets closer to release. And I'll be honest, this was never really a game for me. All right, and the more that I've seen of it, the less.
It looks like they're really trying to pander to the audience that liked X-Men Origins Wolverine just a little bit, but that's not their main audience. They're just trying to put in a little bit of nostalgia bait in there for people like me, but it's not going to work because the rest of it looks fucking weird.
Interested I have become, it appears some of the internet may feel that way too now, and Insomniac has gone on the record about it. Their community and marketing
Who thought that looked good?
director posted this, saying, "I think the wild way this algorithm amplifies and forces negativity upon you has me reconsidering my philosophy of telling devs to look or post here. It is a relentless onslaught that I cannot believe is good for anyone's mental health, nor representative." A relentless onslaught. It's a really intense word to use, so I went and looked for this onslaught, braced myself a little, and it's Ben 10. People are making jokes about this game, reminding them of Ben 10, and that a chase sequence leaves a little red streak by Tooth when he runs, so the modern audience doesn't get lost, and overall just a fair amount of memes about how—
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, oh, a third-person action game having a big boss battle that's similar to other boss battles? You don't say? A regular game mechanic? I'm like, yeah, $300 million.
they don't think this game looks very good. And then the rest of it, the part that isn't memes, is just people having opinions about the game itself. Really unappealing character designs, which Insomniac seems to take genuine pride in. The cheesy dialogue, the fact that what has been shown off looks like the same generic Sony movie game formula that we've been handed for the better part of a decade. Gameplay and boss—
and it looks gay from the design. Even if the characters themselves aren't gay, it was like the soul was gay.
fights that have for years, and
why is his body so wide and fat looking?
And of course, Sweet Baby Ink involved, which at this point, most people can probably spot. None of that is an onslaught. That is just a reaction to marketing for a product you are getting ready to release to the public. But like clockwork, the journalists have shown up to defend the game from the evil chud discourse, claiming that this game is yet another victim of its endless gaming a victim! A $70 game with a multi-million-dollar budget backed by Sony is a victim.
I think they were just rage baiting. It seems like rage bait to me for clicks, and I think they're not doing so well. I've been seeing a lot of the posts where they're like, 3 free Steam games. Check it out in the link down in the replies. And then you click it, and it's like, check out this website that has keys for 3 free Steam games, maybe, if you enter.
Because people looked at what has been shown off, and they have not been impressed. That is the framing that we are now going with, not, hey, I don't know, here's why we think you'll love this game. No, the game is a victim, and you're kind of a jerk if you're not gushing with excitement, ready to hand over your hard-earned. What's even crazier—
how do they make money? Actually, I know the answer to that. It's part of the culture. It's part of the corporate culture. All these corporations own the same companies. Rotten Tomatoes and IGN are both owned by Universal, owned by Comcast.
though, is that this is Wolverine, one of the most beloved characters in comics, and getting the opportunity to work on a Marvel game like this should be a privilege. You have the opportunity to work with one of the most recognizable characters on the entire planet. 50-something years of comics, the movies, the cartoons, whole generations of people who have grown up with this character.
That's why they didn't want to take any risks. They didn't want to mess up the beloved character. And by the action of doing that, they messed up the beloved character. Fucking morons.
But just like with Spider-Man, if you do him a disservice, of course, people are going to notice. If he suspiciously looks like a kinder version of that kid from Jumanji for some reason...
Oh, fuck. That's a new one.
They're going to notice. But even with that being said, the bar for this game was never to go do something impossible. If Insomniac just had their head on straight, the bar was supposed to be go do the thing you already know how to do. I really loved the 2018 Spider-Man, and I thought they did a great job with that game.
I didn't play it.
They have just to get back there.
I have only played Spyro and the Ratchet & Clank games from Insomniac.
Either way, gamers are not here to protect a studio's feelings. We are the customer, and it is their job to sell us the game. People making jokes and criticizing creative decisions is harassment. And what is so funny to me is how fast the blame comes and how familiar it all feels. We saw it with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which said it was a battle that they fought and won. There was the Highguard dev who deleted his statements and his account twice. And now it is Insomniac with it is the same 3 steps every single time. The game gets shown off, or in Highguard's case, gets blasted to the heavens by Jeff Keighley. People say what they think about it very bluntly because it is the internet. And then instead of anybody in the studio going, huh, that is an awful lot of people saying the same specific thing, the response that comes back is that the audience is the worst. The audience is attacking us, the gamers are bullies.
It's part of the corporate mindset to push this into the social media because morons who are willing to latch on and defend them will repeat all of this. And they'll repeat it to each other, and other people will repeat it from those people without even seeing the original posts. And it just becomes a mind virus, and they know how to manipulate it. Because that mind virus was created by these international corporations.
All a coordinated attack, and they're always the victim. If we just look at the balance of power in this specific situation, on one side you have got Sony, a billion-dollar publishing arm, 50 years of Marvel, and the games press writing before the game is even out. On the other side, a guy who made a Ben 10.
Yeah, and it just made me want to play that Ben 10 game. So I downloaded it, I got it. I'm going to play it probably tomorrow. It's going to be great. I might record it and put it on my gaming channel. I'll link down there in the description.
But yes, it is gamers that are the Avengers level. Speaking of assembling, let's talk about Halo and how somehow they managed to make every possible mistake a Western AAA studio could make. Now, I was never a huge Halo person. I knew what it was.
I fucking love it.
Obviously, but it was never my thing. It was my older brother's thing, and it was my husband's thing before I ever knew him. The whole LAN party era, I was a bit too young and much more interested in playing Zelda to care about.
I was right after the LAN era. I did a couple of LAN parties with Xbox 360s, but it was like wireless LAN, WLAN, whatever you want to call it. This was like right when Wi-Fi was really becoming a thing.
Any of that, but Halo is one of the most recognizable IP in all of gaming. I would honestly argue it is Star Wars tier, and even if you've never played it, it is the game that your friend's older brother had, and it is the reason an entire generation of people know what a warthog is. So, watching what has happened to it after all these years, genuinely very sad to see. Halo Studios, which was 343 Industries for most of this, has been making Halo for almost 19 years. Almost 2 decades of one studio basically doing one thing, which is what makes the reporting on Campaign Evolved so hard for me to wrap my head around.
So hasn't 343 or Halo Studios owned Halo longer than Bungie did? I say owned, but you know, made Halo. This is true at this point, right? Have they made more Halo games now under their wing than Bungie did? See, Bungie made 5. So we got Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite, Campaign Evolved. Oh, we got one more to go.
An article came out recently detailing an allegedly pretty rough development cycle. Things like not even realizing that assets would clearly need to be rebuilt for this remake, building it.
Wait, did 343 do any of the Master Chief Collection? I didn't count any of those. Let's go ahead and not count it.
An abstraction for technical work and level design across the campaign, which reportedly fell apart. And again, this is a game that has been around for 25 years, and the studio that has spent 19 years doing nothing but trying to make Halo good again and failing hired another studio to design Halo levels.
Oh, so they've had it
and
way
underneath
longer.
all of it, the studio head reportedly promoted people into leadership roles they were not equipped for, leading to even more awful mismanagement. And then what happened when the game came out and actually reached players?
Dude, they hired so many contractors. Whenever you do that and then you lose your contractors every cycle, you're losing the soul. You're not getting the same people working on it who are doing the same things continue what you already made. You have to make a new thing every single time. Once again, unsustainable, especially if you're spending this much time and this much money making.
Low numbers across Steam and PlayStation.
We had 5 Halo games within a decade, and they were all great.
Mixed Steam reviews sitting in the low 60s, a 5.2 user score, the lowest launch player count in series history, and complaints about basically everything. The new missions, the cringy dialogue, the insufferable masculine girl boss, the account requirements, the enemy AI, bugs, no multiplayer, even the AI angel herself, Cortana. They germ at her. It is like somebody printed out the entire list of things that you are not supposed to do to a beloved franchise or, you know, just to a game in general.
Almost as if they did it on purpose. Because they don't like guns in games. Halo is for chuds. They're all just a bunch of commies. They're working a job. They'll end up working somewhere else. And the longer they take making games, that's job security, baby. If we're just gonna be laid off after every cycle, might as well just make the cycle longer, am I right?
And then ran it start to finish without skipping a single one. And the parts that Halo Studios actually added themselves, the pieces that were uniquely theirs, the new missions, ended up being some of the most criticized things in the whole. What is so crazy to me is that this should have been the safest assignment imaginable. This story already exists, the characters already exist, the levels the game already worked and was extremely beloved.
And they already remade it. It's so crazy. Such a bad decision. I called this right out the gate.
Loved by an enormous amount of people. You were remaking Halo, and it still turned into a case study of mismanagement, creative disconnect, lack of skill, followed a week or two after launch by layoffs, which we didn't even find out about through corporate announcement, by the way. We found out because people started posting it on LinkedIn. One of the devs wrote that after 6.5 years on Halo and dodging just many rounds of layoffs, it had finally caught up with him. Another dev wrote that his time there ended following the successful launch of the latest game. Successful.
But layoffs happen all the time. It's normal. It's not normal. This didn't used to happen all the time. This is only a recent thing. People are acting like it's always been normal. No, it has not. We've just been seeing it for a long time, spread out, but now it's getting faster and faster and faster. More people getting laid off. More changes being made. Just faster and faster and faster. It's great. I love it. Yeah, just keep down the same path. It's the path paved to hell.
And while it is hard to grasp, I do think that there is a real chance that these people, the things that probably because this is the language that was being used around them the entire time. That is the only feedback they got. That is what was shared in the company meetings. That was what
they didn't want anything else. They pushed everybody out, made everything a problem that wasn't part of their degenerate culture.
Everybody in the building had already agreed upon that the launch would look like. But if your definition of success can include the lowest launch player count in Halo history, a 5.2 user score at best, mixed reviews, and layoffs 2 weeks later, I don't know what to say. I did not have high expectations for Ubisoft's Black Flag remake, and even they still ended up performing so much better than this. And a not so fun fact to close this section out, both studios that have ever touched this franchise, Bungie and Halo Studios, had layoffs 6 weeks apart, all during Halo's 25th, which is a pretty bleak way to celebrate a legacy. And speaking of bleak celebrations, let's go to a parking lot in Rockville. After all the layoffs and the protests that took place last month, I honestly thought that we would get a little quiet out of Bethesda. We did not, because on August 11th, Xbox leadership came out to visit Bethesda Game Studios, and Asha Sharma was there to see.
Shut them down. Shut them all down. Anybody who's on the side of this should be fired. Fire them all and deport them. Deport them all. Deport all the blue-haired commies with the septum piercings.
Current build of Elder Scrolls 6. The Bethesda workers there knew that she was coming, so to welcome her,
all of the Lindsay Clancy supporters.
The protesters put up posters outside of their cubicles, which management then told them they had to take down or flip around. So the employees then switched to balloons, which is a weird escalation. Somebody sat there and thought,
these people are weird. They didn't have anybody actually organizing this. They put it together themselves. And they're all stupid. And a bunch of babies.
About it and went, fine, they can take our posters. They are not taking her. And then outside in the grass in front of the building, they planted 8.
That's some real corporate behavior. Even if you're trying to, in quotes, go against the corporation, you're really just wanting to be in the corporation. They're a bunch of corporate freaks. They're addicted to the culture.
100 red flags, one for every worker that has been laid off since July of last year, and they brought out,
don't fire people. They were my friends. You said we were a family. Congratulations, you've created a monster.
Scabby, who is a giant inflatable union rat.
And that monster is an inflatable rat.
That I did not even know existed until this happened. So Asha shows up to all of this, goes inside, looks at the game, and tweets out that the scale and grandeur of Elder Scrolls 6 are incredible.
From a non-gamer, by the way. Like, she wouldn't know what looks good. She probably knows what looks bad, like outright bad, probably, I guess.
And she is right. That is a lot of grandeur. To which the Bethesda brand account replied, thanking her for the kind words and the wonderful visit. So the brand account is on X doing hospitality, while the staff is on the lawn with a rat. Bethesda, if you can hear me, you've got to wrangle in your union guys, because they are just having the opposite effect of what you probably want. Every time I see them pop up in headlines, I already know that they have just done something that is going to be completely dismissed by gamers, and more importantly, by Daddy Microsoft. But it is not just Bethesda. Since 2022, there have been over 45,000 layoffs in the gaming industry. The projection for this year alone is over 14,000, and you can look at a number like that on top of...
It's gonna get worse. I'm not seeing any kind of course correction. Asha Sharma trimmed off a lot of fat, but she didn't do a full turnaround like she needed.
Anything else that everyone's been hit with for the past few years and go...
They're focusing on the big mainstream IPs that cost $300 million still.
All right, that's it. Gaming is dying. Except when you add all of them together, you see reportedly that 95% of those layoffs are happening in the West, with the majority of them in North America. Now, of course, overhiring and mismanagement is real. Corporate greed is very real.
They definitely overhire. Especially during COVID, they overhired. But whenever you got hundreds and thousands of people working on games and they take so long to come out, of course this has to happen.
Unfortunately, I am sure...
If you're really passionate about games, you'll be going to work on your own games and they'll be successful if you're any good.
Very talented people have been swept up in these layoffs over the years, and there is a lack of job security in America. All of those things are playing a part here, but at what point can we also all be honest and say, maybe the hiring practices we put into place and bragged about for the past 5 or 6 years have had a directly negative impact on the games we've been making?
We're pushing ourselves into an indie and AA culture. Either do it yourself or it doesn't get done at all.
Maybe building teams around DEI targets, ESG goals, ideological fit, social politics, or really anything other than who is actually the best person for the job, who understands what it is we're making, and who genuinely wants to be here is contributing to the unsuccessful launches and cycles.
Yep, and I write articles about this every single day on Substack, now X, over on Medium.
It is no secret that there is this environment of toxic HR positivity, especially inside Western AAA, and a lot of it comes from the top down. You are completely surrounded by it. I mean, if you are working at Bethesda, you can quite literally be standing next to a guy with an actual communist tattoo on his neck. I am not saying that to attack him personally. I bring it up because it tells you something about the kind of ideological environment we are talking about here. What do you think the priorities are when that team is hiring? What does internal feedback even look like in an environment like that? Something like, comrade, respectfully, your quest is buns. I am joking, obviously. We all know that there is no real feed inside these cases, which makes me wonder...
The only feedback they're getting is about how awesome they are because of their cultural politics, and how everybody who's giving them hate online are just a bunch of chuds.
What these companies are really...
I can't wait until I see on Blue Sky, chuds killed another game studio. Oh no, they killed another game.
Taking away from any of this, because at the exact same time we are seeing Wolverine, Halo, and Bethesda flounder and lose their audience support, we are watching smaller studios and independent developers put out games that reach absolutely ridiculous levels of success, games that in some cases are putting productions with hundreds of millions of dollars behind them to shame. And it is not because those developers necessarily had it easy. Pocket Bear has dealt with enormous public pressure, harassment, and an entire population of Pokemon zealots preying on their downfall. Both Larian and Clear Obscure got dragged into witch hunts or AI. These studios have dealt with criticism, controversy, and accusations, but did they turn around and start fighting with their own audience base at corporate statement?
They didn't have gay design straight up from the ground up in their games. And sure, there's gay stuff in the games. Nobody cares. It's just whenever you have this kind of design, and you know what I'm talking about. It's like they all were in the same Tumblr feeds, or like all on fucking DeviantArt.
About the onslaught of opinions and memes and what it was doing to everybody's mental health? No. Now, again, I am not trying to make all of this sound like doom and gloom, because despite everything I have just spent this entire video saying, I really do think we are just starting to see a correction was probably always going to come. This current version of Western...
We've been predicting this. I said it was going to take a decade. And it's taken a decade. And we're here. Because that's usually how long it takes for a culture to completely shift. That's why we have distinctly the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. It's because it takes a decade. And it's not straight 1990 to 2000. It's like 1995 to 2005. It flows over 10 years.
AAA has survived for way too long. These companies have had decades of customer goodwill behind them, enormous franchises that people were emotionally attached to, and enough money in the bank to enslave.
As back when they were going with the flow of the culture instead of trying to tell the culture how it should be and how it should not be, trying to manipulate it into what they want it to be.
Themselves for years and years. They could lose people, disappoint people, release something mediocre, promise the next one would be better, and there was always enough goodwill left over to the machine moving, but things are finally correcting. The year of the Chud is bringing us more and more into balance. To be honest, Bethesda is really what inspired this entire video in the first place, all because of one protester, shocked by the layoffs, saying, "I have been told Bethesda makes great games people love." And that line has stuck with me for weeks now because I don't necessarily think that person was lying. I think the sadder possibility is that they meant it completely. Because if everyone around you says you're doing great and that the game you're working on is great, and the journalists tell you is important, and the consultants tell you that it's inclusive, the internal metrics say engagement is promising, the award show tell you that what you're doing is brave, eventually the only person left telling you something is very wrong is your customer. Eventually, if those customers continue to—
The customer is always right, especially the ones who aren't buying your product.
be the only people telling you something is wrong, you start to see them as the enemy.
The people who used to buy your product and don't anymore. Those are the people that are right. Those are the people you should be pandering to.
You can call something a successful launch. You can describe memes and gaming opinions as an onslaught that is terrible for your mental health. You can insist people still love your games, even when you haven't actually given them a game that they've asked for in over a decade. Even if all of those things feel completely true inside the room where you're saying them, it does not make them true in reality. It does not make them true in player reviews. It does not make them true in player counts or copies sold. And it does not make them true in the discourse in social media. All of those things will always be based in reality, and it is about time some of these studios find. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
I would love to know what you think about all of this. And what I said at the beginning is true, by the way. I really am trying to be more consistent with uploads, and I really—
Aren't we all?